Hello. Today's video is about narcissistic grandparents. My maternal grandmother was a narcissist. She neglected and abused my mother until the day she died. However, my grandmother didn't limit her abuse to only my mother. She continued it on with the next generation. This scenario is very typical. I'm sure it happens with male narcissists too, but it seems to be more common with female ones. So we'll just be discussing narcissistic grandmothers in this video, although the information is still the same for narcissistic grandfathers as well. Rather than narcissistic mothers becoming loving grandmothers, they simply become narcissistic grandmothers. Sadly, many children of narcissistic mothers think the abuse they endured won't happen to their children, but they couldn't be more wrong. Many people say that narcissists never change, but I disagree. Their methods that they use to abuse change, and they often become even more vicious with their manipulation and criticisms as they age. If they have grandchildren, they're simply new targets for the narcissist's abuse rather than the happy additions to the family they should be. Narcissistic grandmothers have zero trouble criticizing their children to their grandchildren. This not only can affect how your child sees you, but it also can affect your relationship with your child negatively and hurt your child. When I was very young, my grandmother would tell me how lazy my mother was as a child and what a terrible person she was. It really hurt to hear her say those things, but she wouldn't stop. Not only will narcissistic grandmothers criticize their children to their grandchildren, but they also will criticize their children in front of their grandchildren. This hurts both parent and child and teaches that child that it's perfectly acceptable to treat mom or dad like dirt. Since narcissists believe they always know best and boundaries are not for them, a narcissistic mother will run roughshod over her child's rules when it comes to her grandchildren. If you don't want your child to have a cookie nearer than an hour before dinner, you can guarantee that Granny Dearest will give your child 18 cookies 10 minutes before dinner if she has a chance. If this isn't frustrating enough in and of itself, to have your own mother break your rules like this also teaches your child that it's okay to disobey mom and her rules mean nothing. If you had siblings and all of you have children, your children are going to be treated much like you and your siblings were growing up. There will be a golden child and a scapegoat, and whichever you were, you can count on your child being in that role. In my mother's family, my mother's sister was the golden child and my mother was the scapegoat. While my grandmother was abusive to all of her grandchildren to some degree, I really think she did save the worst for me. If you have children and a narcissistic mother, it's your job as the parent to protect your children. I believe the best place to start protecting them, is to ask God for wisdom on how to handle the situation and how best to protect your children. Limit your children's contact with your narcissistic mother as well as yours. The less contact anyone has with a narcissist, the better. Limited contact may even evolve into no contact in time. The less time spent around a narcissist, the clearer your thinking becomes concerning that person. You may realize no contact is best for you and your children if you hadn't considered that option before. Make sure your children know that they can talk to you about anything and everything and you won't get mad. Help them to feel safe knowing that if Granny Dearest says or does something that upsets them, they can tell you about it and you will not be upset with them, and you will handle the situation. Don't leave your children alone with their narcissistic grandmother. Make sure that you or your spouse or both of you are with the children at all times in her presence. Not only will this help your children to feel safe, chances are good that your narcissistic mother will behave better. After all, narcissists don't like witnesses to their abuse. If you're in this situation, I believe these tips can help you and your children. I wish you the absolute best. Thank you for watching my video.